Hello and welcome again to an even-numbered episode of Azathoth. I'm your host, co-host actually, equal 50% partner host, Todd Beardsley, and I have with me, as usual, Claire Reynolds.
Hi.
Hello, Claire.
Hello, Todd.
We have quite an episode ahead of us today because of some big news. And I guess we should just blow it, right? Just blow it at the top so people know.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready? Are you ready for the big news? The big news is we're on Mastodon now.
Wait, is that the big news?
No, that's not the big news.
You can find me on mastodon.lol.
Yes. You are Hot Dog It's Claire at mastodon.lol.
And I don't really understand how it all works yet. So please please follow me and say hi. If I don't respond, it's only because I don't
know how.
I didn't understand. Yes. It's all a mystery.
That is not the big news. We'll talk about that a little bit later. The actual big news is wow. We are headed to London, England.
Not London, Canada?
Ohio? No.
Oh,
not London, Ontario? No. Ontario?
Yeah.
No.
That's better than saying, you did it better than saying London, Canada.
No.
It's like saying...
So why are we going to
like
London?
Austin, United States.
Yes, Austin, United States. Why are we going to London, Claire?
Well, we got accepted to do a live recording at the London Lovecraft Festival.
That is true, the third annual.
And
by annual, probably not because of COVID, but
yeah,
it's the third Lovecraft Festival in London. And
somehow,
for
these
some
poor
reason,
people thought we somehow fooled them. They think we know what we're doing.
That's right.
So.
And we do know what we're doing. And we'll show you today with this episode on Azathoth. This is the Azathoth discussion. But we can talk about London more, which we should.
I get it. You're being all professional in case somebody from the festival is listening to this.
Just double checking.
I am super grateful, and we're going to be awesome. Also, oh my God.
Hey, look.
So fun.
This is befitting our status as the sixth most popular.
I thought we were the ninth.
Well, it has jumped up, I'm telling you. So I saw my stepbrother just a few days ago, and I said, and I haven't talked to him in 4 years, and he actually
It's not because they don't like each other.
It's because he became my stepbrother 4 years ago.
Yes.
And I haven't talked to him since. And I said, hey, give me your phone. And he said, why would I do that? And I said, I'm going to subscribe you to my podcast, but I want to run an experiment. He had an iPhone, and I went to Apple Podcast, and I searched the term Lovecraft on someone's phone who has, up until this moment, really had no real connection to me, has never looked for Lovecraft, doesn't even really listen to podcasts. And I searched for Lovecraft, and ours was the sixth podcast to come up under that search. And I believe we beat out BBC for Lovecraft Investigations.
Oh, that's ridiculous because that is amazing.
It is a much better podcast. But we are the number 6 Lovecraft podcast in the world.
Mean that we're the most. How does the algorithm work?
I have no idea.
Okay, so, all right, we're taking it as that. So the question is, if we made T-shirts that said, the name of our podcast,
it's
which
Azathoth.
I've forgotten.
Yeah,
and
it's Azathoth : a Lovecraft book club.
And then underneath it says the 6th most popular Lovecraft podcast on Apple Music. Would you buy it? Let us know.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments, which we also have now because we moved over to the Fediverse, but we'll talk about that later. All right. Well, yeah, so we're very excited to go to London in February because I hear that is the best time to go to London.
Balmy.
So you can just Google, or it'll be in the show notes, londonlovecraft.com, I think.
I just Google London Lovecraft Festival.
Google London Lovecraft Festival. You'll find it. It is in middle February. I don't believe they've announced the dates. I think we're February, I want to say 15th, but we'll see.
I think so.
Yeah.
And by the way, I said, well, what if they disinvite us? Maybe we shouldn't talk about this yet. And Todd was like, well, then that'll make even more content.
We'll have something else to talk about. Exactly. And it'll be in London proper. It is, I think, in Chelsea, but it might be like between Chelsea and Earl's Court on Old Brompton Road.
That is correct.
And that was all without notes. I was just remembering. So
I love London so much.
I do too. I haven't been in since before the pandemic.
One time we thought I like to tell the story. We got locked in Kensington Gardens, but really we thought we got locked in Kensington Gardens. And we tried to leave and the gate was locked. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, this is where we live now. We have to try to vault the wall or something. And then finally somebody comes along and looks at us like we're complete fucking idiots. And it's like, now that there's a turnstile right down there. Except they sounded much more posh.
Yes. So we read Azathoth. It is a extremely short story. It is, one might call it a micro story. And in fact, it's a fragment. It is 480 words. It is published in 1938, which is about a year in winter of 1938, which is a year after Lovecraft's death. So it was published posthumously because it was a fragment. And it all the evidence points to it being written in June of 2022. So it is 100 years old. And it's, one thing I really like about this is so Brown University is the curator of a lot of Lovecraft work, because it's in Providence. It is like the basis of Miskatonic University is based on Brown, and they have a scan of this. And I just find it completely delightful that it is written on the back of two unrelated letters that were posted in May of 1922. One from a Spanish club and one in Michigan or something, and one for a young amateur writers club, somebody running for president of this club. And it was just written on the back of these 2 pages and then stuffed in a drawer for 16 years. And
stuffed in a drawer with top secret documents.
Yeah, sure. There were probably tons of very legal and very cool unclassified documents.
Declassify just by saying it's declassified, even by thinking about it.
Along with this story fragment. And that's kind of the provenance of the whole thing, where Lovecraft seemed to be starting a story and then just moved on to something else. And yeah, it was just written on the back of these 2 letters. And the scans are great. I strong recommend. I'll have a link in the show notes of where you can just go look at it. And it's great because the title is scrawled across the top, and it's Azathoth. And that's the last mention of Azathoth.
Yeah.
He is not Azathoth, the outer god, is not mentioned at all in the story. So
is it generally thought that this was supposed to be something bigger?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I am completely ignorant of all this. I don't even Azathoth must have come up in other things, probably things that we have even talked about that I just don't remember.
For sure. Yeah. So Azathoth is, the title of Azathoth, and yet the complete non-presence of Azathoth in the story, it implies that what this is later became the dream quest of Unknown Cutoth, which is one of the longest and most detailed Lovecraft cosmology stories around, and that follows the journey of Randolph Carter into the Dreamlands where Azathoth is sleeping, et cetera, et cetera. And so Azathoth is almost the big boss in that. Nyarlathotep is an avatar of Azathoth. This comes up in Dreams of the Witch House, for example. Azathoth is mentioned in almost every entity is mentioned in the Fungi from Yuggoth, which is a set of sonnets that talk about the Mygo and their worship of Nyarlathotep and therefore Azathoth. And yeah, Azathoth is a big part of the cosmology.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Really?
People know me.
Shows up in passing or directly in, a dozen stories, but not the one entitled Azathoth. Now,
What if this is Azathoth's birth story?
holy macaroni.
Wait, are we not supposed to swear on this podcast?
we can. When we swear, I put the explicit tag on.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that's fine. So,
What if
holy
this guy
shit balls.
is who became Azathoth?
So let me get this straight, Claire. You who is aware of the Lovecraft mythos and plays like Lovecraft card games and board games and now role-playing games. You have just blown my mind, Claire.
It just
like perhaps the narrator is Azathoth. Is this what you're suggesting?
The guy that got sucked into whatever the dreamland that's how he became Azathoth. He was, and FYI, the story is 100% about a cubicle farm.
Yes.
He was living in a cubicle farm and got sucked into wherever it is that.
I'm running with it. I think this is an incredible read. And this is why you are the draw of the podcast, Claire Reynolds, and why people will pay 10 to 15 pounds. Let us know how much we should charge for tickets.
Oh my God. No, it should be free.
It can't be free.
It can't be free?
No, we have business expenses, honey. So the narrator is Azathoth, and he lives this life of drudgery.
I'm gonna need you to go ahead and come in tomorrow. So if you could be here around 9, that would be great. Okay?
And this is like another part of like Lovecraftian cosmos, which I think is like fairly common in most like later stuff, where Azathoth is the center of chaos and his dreams are our reality. And if Azathoth ever wakes up, it's the end of the universe. Like that's kind of the short story creation story of, and this is why Azathoth, and I always refer to him as he. I don't know why. It's much more of an it. He's like a sentient black hole, but he's dreaming and
sounds like a man.
Mm-hmm.
But am I right?
Do my ladies know what I'm talking about out there?
And then he wakes up, and then we're all perished, and like it's kind of a whole thing, right? So, but I love that this is the narrator is Azathoth, has a job in a very Terry Gilliam Brazil sort of Max Headroom world, which is, by the way, what I thought of when I read the first few sentences of this, of like it is a gray city and it's not windowless. It's specifically not windowless. Everyone has one window, which is almost worse. And all you get to do is look at other windows, but it's very urban and very like future dystopia. And so I immediately flashed to the credit scene on Max Headroom, and then it kind of ends on this like idyllic, shore, and he's been plucked out of his body and he gets carried away. There came to that room wild streams of violet midnight glittering with dust of gold. So like at first, I thought, oh, that's Azathoth. Like, that is the manifestation of Azathoth, taking this dude out of his body. But I like yours a lot better.
Well, I mean, like, why else write about this random dude? Unless he became somebody.
Exactly. And, like, that's and it's just a fragment, right? So, like, we don't know what goes on. Or it isn't a fragment. It is the end. And
ladies and gentlemen, that's how the Bible came to be.
That's...
a bunch of people guessing what somebody else wrote.
All pay heed. The Lord Jehovah, has given unto you these 15, 10 commandments for all to obey.
Exactly. We're building a religion right now, and I'm glad that you're all part of it on the ground floor here. And we will all meet in London and perform dark rituals of booze, probably, mostly. Like, to me, it read very much a like transition from like a cyberpunk future to a solar punk, kind of situation there.
Or kind of, I mean, Matrixy.
Very, very much so. Like he just gets plucked out of his horrible life, or is exposed to this other reality where, there are... Okay, it's not camel toes, which is what I read every single time I read that final word in the... It is Camalotes.
Is that how you say it?
I think so, or that is a Spanish translation of someone's name, and I'm not super sure because I tried to look up the pronunciation on Google, and I got like a lot of like how to pronounce the Spanish name.
Oh, yeah.
And
because obviously it didn't come. I mean, it's hyacinth, right?
I don't know.
You didn't look it up? I looked it up.
I didn't look it up.
It's some kind of a hyacinth.
They're red. And the line, by the way, is They tenderly left him sleeping on a green sunrise shore, a green shore fragrant with lotus blossoms and starred by red, not camel toes. Camalotes.
All right, let's see. Yeah, a common water hyacinth.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes a lot more sense.
But I don't know how to pronounce it. I would think, I don't know. I mean, it's probably Latin, so whatever that means, whatever that would entail. I have no idea what that means for the pronunciation.
You usually just pronounce it like, yeah. I mean, Latin words tend to be like pretty self-pronounceable. Like,
anecdotally, per Wikipedia, it is known as the Terror of Bengal due to its invasive growth tendencies.
Huh.
There you have it.
I'm sure we could spend an hour
on like, water hyacinths.
No, building out this mythology and like, oh, are people the camel toes? I don't know. So
those
anyway,
people in London are going to be shocked when we show up and when they find out we're 12-year-old boys.
Yes, they are. Yeah, all this voice modulation to make us sound like, grown men and women. Yeah. So now, it's so great. Like, Claire read this story like, maybe an hour before we sat down to record, and just like, spins out this like, but what if he's Azathoth theory? And now I'm rereading it as recording because it's so short.
Origin story. That's the word I couldn't think of.
It's the origin story, exactly. Of the name and abode of this man, but little is written. And like, okay, yeah, so he's definitely a nobody. He barely has any records. He goes to sleep. He has a dream. The dream is the universe, and we're in it. Boom. Mic drop. But don't drop the mic because they're expensive.
No.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing. So what do you got on this? Do you have anything else you wanted to hit? I'm just looking at my notes here.
No, I mean...
It's very short. There's not a ton
it's very short.
To talk about.
And, it is short. It very much feels like a couple of Bible verses.
I'm honestly, like, my mind is totally blown, and I'm now like an Azathoth disciple, which is probably usually the bad guy in these stories. But
so does that make me like a prophet?
Yes, very much
Okay.
so. Yes,
right.
You're a sexy prophet of Azathoth.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm just looking for the one thing where like he's looking at the stars.
After years, he began to call the slow sailing stars by name.
So this reminds me, in our now creation myth of Azathoth, like this harkens very much to Genesis in the Bible, where like the commandment is like you have to go out and name the things, right? Like that's the first thing God tells humanity is like, this is your job. This is exactly what he's doing. He's naming all the stars. He's naming all the stars, Claire. He is that are here in the universe. It's incredible. I am a zealot for Azathoth.
That's going to be our other T-shirt. Zealot for Azathoth.
Team. I was never Team Azathoth. So like in
Hot for Azathoth.
in Eldritch Horror, the board game, which is a fine board game. I know it's like a secondary board game these days that people don't like. People like Arkham Horror, the board game, but
The card game.
The board game. There is an Arkham Horror board game,
God,
which is later than Eldritch Horror.
Have we played the board game?
No, we have not.
Okay.
It is
All
like
right.
one of the only. Well, that's not true. There's like a billion Lovecraft games out there, but
Yeah.
it's one of the only Fantasy Flight Lovecraft games that we
Okay.
don't currently possess. Azathoth is like the baby monster. He's the one it's the basic first bad guy you go up against because all he wants to do is destroy the world.
Okay.
And he's not subtle about it. And he doesn't do anything like Yog-Sothoth with the magic.
He's a toddler.
Yeah, exactly. But no, he's not a toddler. He's
Jimmy Smash. That's what I say.
He's an office worker in our time.
Yeah, but he's a toddler god.
Yes,
is what
Well, what is it? Well, you were looking at other names for Azathoth, and I just want you to say them, but like.
Oh shoot, I don't remember that.
But say them sexy.
Just up came Azathoth versus Cthulhu. I'm like,
Yeah.
In Ray, Azathoth. Cite that in one of my legal briefs.
Azathoth v Cthulhu.
Yes. Azathoth, sometimes called the blind idiot god.
Sexier though.
The blind idiot god. Well,
Okay, thank you.
I feel like
that's enough. It's too sexy.
Yeah, when I was
Back it off.
I feel like when I was getting hazed, not the hazing by my sorority was not mean hazing, but one of the things was we had to do this big scavenger hunt, and I had to stand up on a table in a fraternity house and read from Penthouse magazine, letters to Penthouse magazine.
Wow.
Yeah, Mom and Dad don't listen to that.
Yeah.
That never happened.
Yeah, believe that. We'll put a spoiler alert. We'll put an anti-mom spoiler.
Yeah,
ahead of
also known as the nuclear chaos.
I'm sorry, what's that word?
The nuclear.
Nuclear. It's pronounced nuclear.
Thank you.
It's nuclear. The nuclear chaos. The demon sultan. The deep dark and the cold one. I really like the blind idiot god.
Blind idiot god. B-I-G.
Yep. The notorious B.I.G.
There. Now we're talking T-shirts.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we're going to get sued by his estate.
Yeah, parody. Come on. We can. And we'll only sell them in England.
Yeah, that's true. I guess. Yeah.
Yes. So Azathoth, check it out. I read it to you at the last episode. Go ahead.
The real question is should we do a Max Headroom podcast where we watch episodes of Max Headroom and then review them afterwards, which is that's like the basic podcast format.
Yeah.
But I love those podcasts.
Absolutely. And so I love Max Headroom. This is another. I feel like I'm pulling just all from my high school experience.
Yes, it's true. But I kind of like being the wry observer.
Yeah, and then you like pull out fucking cosmologies.
I'm sure I'm not the first person to think of this.
I have never heard of it. Like I don't want to say like, I've been around the block on Lovecraft scholarship. I don't want to say like I was contemporary with Shadow over Usenet or anything, but I have never heard the theory that the narrator dreamer here is anyone other than Randolph Carter in like a proto form and must be Azathoth himself. I mean, my jaw is still like banging against the floor. Now, moving on. As mentioned at the top of the show, we're on Mastodon now, so please don't try to get in touch with us on Twitter. Don't follow us on Twitter. In fact, you should probably just unfollow us on Twitter and block us or whatever.
Oh.
And because Twitter is dunzo.
Dumpster fire.
Twitter is evil. I unloaded Twitter way too late, but it was like, what was it? Like the day after, I think, Elon Musk bought Twitter. And then he posted this thing, his conspiracy theory boosting on Nancy Pelosi's husband's assault. And I'm like, all right, well, that's it. I'm out. Like, believe people when they tell you who they are, et cetera, et cetera. This cannot last. And I stuck to Twitter when they were the official platform of the 45th president. And I stuck through all of that, which is like, in retrospect, I probably should have pulled that record a little earlier. But so we're done.
Don't get me wrong. I'm very much enjoying watching the train wreck.
It is.
It's funny,
hilarious,
but also sad.
It's hilarious and wistful and poignant.
Yeah, because it was a legitimate news site.
It was a shaping force of modern culture for the last 10, 15 years or something. Like it was ridiculous. And wonderful, and people met people, like it just all over the place, right? And so it's sad to see it go, but I like to watch it leave. What? Twitter's got a great ass.
Great ass!
Todd Beardsley. And now I'm jealous of Twitter.
You don't have to be.
I want to punch Twitter in the face.
Well, I got a new hookup, and that hookup is Mastodon. And so we are on Mastodon. The show itself is an account that I run, just like on Twitter. It is now Podsathoth at mastodon.social right now. We also, in a fit of technophilia, I said, hey, but what if we did the same thing but with our podcasting? And so I set up a Castopod server, which is like a Mastodon compatible Fediverse thing where purportedly you can publish podcasts and like have interactions on Mastodon about them, like directly, which is like a cool promise. It's definitely a 1.0 kind of release right now, so that part doesn't really work that well, but it does do the job of podcast slinging. And so if you want to follow the show directly on from your favorite Fediverse instance, it could be Mastodon, it could be any of the other ones that I cannot name because I don't know them, and they all have funny.
Also, I'd like to point out that if what you're hearing from Todd's mouth
it's gobbledygook.
is just words.
Yeah, just skip ahead.
I'm with you.
You should have been skipping ahead already. But yeah, so directly it is, I have to try to remember it. It is Podsathoth. Let me try that again. It is Podsathoth at alhazred.podsathoth.club. Yes, that's right. There's 2 Podsathoths in there.
I feel like maybe you should have
Don't
consulted
bother.
me first on this.
Yeah, don't bother following that thing.
Okay.
Because it doesn't really work the way it's supposed to work. But if you follow Podsathoth at mastodon.social, we'll catch you. Because one of the cool things about Mastodon is that when you move from server to server, you can like kind of take your followers with you. So like we won't lose you. Like you'll be there. Don't worry about it. So when I find or create a Lovecraft-centric Mastodon instance, we'll be there. And that's all there is to it. But follow us in the meantime over there. We'll take you over with us. It's fine. And it's great.
No man left behind.
So yeah, and already we're getting a little bit of traction on in the Fediverse, Claire.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I just think you're talking about Kevin Federer, the Britney Spears.
Yeah, that's right. How come there is no Federer-verse instance of Mastodon yet? So already in the Fediverse, some dude named Peter ran through all my Mastodon posts as Podsathoth and liked every single one of them.
Oh,
very nice, in reverse order. And I've been chatting with someone there named Zrater. It's like traitor, but with a Z, and maybe it's a Z-rater. I don't know where they're from. So Zrater, thank you so much for the advice and the early beta testing. Zrater, I think, was the first person to listen to the podcast from Castopod. So
that's awesome.
Good job for him. And I asked him, "It's like, did anything break?" And he's like, "I don't really know what your podcast is supposed to sound like, so I can't tell you that." And
yeah, you weren't Joe Rogan.
That's right.
I was so bizarre.
Yeah, I was really just trying to listen to Joe Rogan. Yeah, I can talk about some of the fan mail we got. You want to talk about fan mail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Claire always lights up with the fan mail. She likes to be liked. And
who doesn't?
Who doesn't? So you guessed it, Sean Patrick.
Yay!
He wrote in after the discussion of The Curse of Yig and said, "Hey guys, I'm so glad you're back." And he also agrees that The Forgotten Age is a, quote, brutal Arkham horror cycle.
Yes. Oh my God.
Very difficult. Claire died many times. We talked about that in the last. Yeah. And yeah, he ran it solo and he's like, this is really hard. He wrote in for that. We have a new fan named Nick from Florida.
Nick from Florida
says, and I'm just going to read it because it's just delightful. I was looking for readings of H.P. Lovecraft's works, and I'm so happy to have found your show. The care and energy you bring to the material elevates the stories. When I saw that you follow up each story with a fun discussion, my joy was doubled.
Yay!
You and Claire are a joy to listen to. I hope you continue to publish the shows.
I'm glad we could bring some joy to you in Florida,
I know.
Nick.
Yes. Hang on to that with both hands.
That's right.
Nick.
Yeah. Coming from Texas.
Yeah.
I don't know your politics, but
I Yeah.
We're pretty open about ours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and if you're a Republican, you can fuck right off,
yeah.
Nick. So,
I mean, you should consider changing parties before you fuck right off.
okay.
Do that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Andy from Iowa wrote in, and he asked a pointed question based on our mention of Houdini in a past episode. I want to say it was the Kersey Yig discussion episode, maybe earlier. We mentioned Houdini kind of in passing, and he said he asked if we were planning on reading Under the Pyramids, which was big air quotes written by Houdini, but actually written by H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh,
and
I had no idea
I will say vociferously yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely in the cards. I think Under the Pyramids is a good adventure story, and it's very Egypt based. I thought about doing it like when we first started the podcast, when we had the Saharan dust in the air, because I thought it would be like appropriate and stuff, but then I didn't. So yeah, we'll get to that one. My goal is to read every Lovecraft story on this podcast, including things that are ghost written, including the really long ones like Mountains of Madness or Dream Quest of Unknown Cutoff. Yeah, we'll get to them all. And then when we run out, I don't know, we'll start again.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of stuff out there. It's like,
when we run out, we'll have our Max Headroom
TV,
podcast.
Max Headroom, exactly. It's TV and Max Headroom.
Oh, yeah. And finally, Dan from Australia. He wrote to us. I'm a bad podcast host because he wrote to us way back in June, and I didn't even mention it.
Dan from Australia.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's December there.
Yes. So basically, he's writing from the future. Very good. As we record yes, very good. Very good. Yes, that's how time works in Australia. Dan from Australia wrote way back in June to encourage us to keep going because it had been a while since we had published in June. And he's like, hey, I hope you come back and please don't quit. And I like your podcast.
Oh my God. I love our fans so much.
Know, right?
I want to.
Well, and Australia is part of the Commonwealth. So I think he can just go to London.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's super cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they let them in.
No, we're going to have to go. Hey, look, podcasting is a money-losing proposition for most people.
Well, for us, yeah.
And we should go to Australia. We should podcast live from Dan's house.
From Dan's balcony, I assume he owns. Because you don't want to be on the ground level in Australia because like everything will bite you.
That's true.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So after our London show, we'll book a show. Dan, tell me what city you're in, and I hope you say it's Perth, because no one's from there. All right. So that's it. I guess that's it. Unless you have anything else, Claire. Otherwise, I'll take us out.
No, I don't think so. I just want to say how much I enjoy doing this, and I'm sorry that we're not more regular. But I mean, we got jobs and kids, and also sometimes we just don't want to do
trauma.
anything. Yeah. It's been a year. It's been a year, and you know what? We don't have to talk about it right now, but maybe at some point we can be open.
Yeah, we can talk about it. We'll talk about it live at London. That's why you got to go and pay us 10 to 15
oh my God,
pounds.
Nobody is going to pay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they will. It's a tiny theater too. It only seats 51. So London show. Okay, we gotta go on the outro on this.
Okay.
All right, going out. London show is londonlovecraft.com. Check it out. Eventually they'll post dates. We will be there. Probably. Certainly we'll be there. We're invited.
Oh, we're showing up.
Yeah.
London Lovecraft Festival people, because we're
crazy people.
Yeah, we are crazy. So that was the joke. I was like, okay, so we're from Texas and we've been invited. Should we, show up with like cowboy hats and go pew
and
pew?
Chaps.
Yeah.
And nothing
I
else.
think we should show up with cowboy hats and then toss the hats out into the crowd.
I love it. Mm-hmm. I love it.
What would be really sad is if they just flew out and then like landed on an empty seat.
One of the many empty seats. Yeah, please. And this is what I told them. Like when we were talking about it, I'm like, well, weirdly, 30% of our audience is in the UK, and I don't know why. But we were big in the kingdom. So anyway, London show. If you want to get in touch with us, you can always email us, hideous@podsathoth.club, not .com. It is a .club domain. That's a real domain. Your email handler will know how to deal with it. It is hideous@podsathoth.club. Do not follow us on Twitter. You should follow us at podsathoth, at mastodon.social. And I don't know, if you can find our phone number, you can call us, whatever.
Yeah, why not?
Sure.
Well, I mean, like,
We'll talk about Lovecraft.
dudes
I
from
don't care.
all over Nigeria are calling me constantly.
I know. I got fucking Warnock texting me 3 times a day.
Like, I gave you money.
Just go win.
Just stop being such a tryhard.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you live in Georgia, please vote in the runoff.
Oh, Lord, please.
And just get that done. So that's it. And until next time, maybe we'll catch you on a Max Headroom podcast, title TBD.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we'll see you back here. We'll be reading another Lovecraft story. Don't know which one. It'll be way spookier than this, though. But could it be spookier? I don't know. This is the origin story of Azathoth. Oh, yeah, I got to do the thing. And that's it. We're done.
I was going to say, if we wanted to do like my high school stuff, it would have to be like a podcast on Melrose Place or 90210. And I'm pretty sure there are already.
I'm pretty sure there are already some.